Well, I'm delighted to welcome you, Adam Fisher, to Forces Sport, and thank you for allowing, well, first of all for the weather and for allowing us to come up all the way up to Sleaford today. Tell us why we're here, because geographically it works with where you work at Cranwell, and remind us sort of what your job is in the military. Before we start talking about the cricket, let's talk about the day job.
Yeah, so first of all, it's higher. It's Tom Shorthouse's club,
Okay.
captain of the RAF. I'm working at Cranwell at the moment, just down the road. I'm training to be a flying instructor on 45 Squadron. So I moved here in February, and that's pretty much where I'm at the moment.
And why did you choose the RAF? And was it the flying that sort of enticed you in? What sort of started you on that RAF journey?
To be honest, I used to go to careers days at school when I was going through secondary school, and me and my dad used to go, and we just used to go to the forces. So we'd go to the army and the Air Force. We'd read all about the sports, and then we'd clear off to the pub, and that was our careers sessions done. And then I went to university, had no real interest or thoughts of the forces. I wanted to play as much cricket as I could. I went to Worcester. They offered a scholarship, which I think quite rightly I didn't end up getting. So I did 3 years at university, and then finally got to really needing a job, and went back to those careers booklets and found the Air Force. So applied and never looked back.
Yeah, and so it was the sport. I mean, those initial meetings with your dad, looking up, it actually was the sport that drove you. So you were aware that by going into the military, when you did finally join up, that sport could be and would be a massive part of your life.
Yeah, definitely. I grew up with a lot of team sports, and that's what I enjoyed. And I think the military was definitely the obvious choice for a team environment. So I thought that I would enjoy the work that was there. I've always loved travelling, and so therefore I was like, this kind of lines up well. And then the sport was a massive bonus as well, because I thought I'll still be able to play this and to a really good standard within the military. So that's exactly why I joined.
You're a proud Yorkshireman. You're from a proud Yorkshire family. So it's stupid to even ask that cricket must have been there from day one. What sort of environment did you grow up in? You said team sports, but was cricket sort of number one?
I used to play football a lot, and that was my sport. My football friends at school got me into the cricket club, Sheriff Bridge, which at the time was 12 years old. I think I picked up cricket, moved there and played juniors there, and I'm still playing there now as a senior. So I've been 20 odd years now. So that's kind of how I got into it. But yeah, it was big, and our school was a state school, but they were big for cricket as well. So it was kind of everywhere, really.
And did you sort of have aspirations for a cricketing career or a sporting career outside of the military?
I think I did, in the same way as what all young sportsmen do.
Yeah.
I think that, I don't think I ever thought that I was particularly good enough, but you still always aspire to getting picked up or getting seen at the right time. But I think looking back, I was always a long way from it, if that makes sense. But yeah, so it was always number one, and it's what I find a lot of enjoyment and a lot of social and friends and things still to this day.
And still playing for the local cricket club. How does that work with moving around with the job as well? How much time generally do you get to give to cricket as you rise up the ranks, in your job with the RAF?
Yeah, so I think I'd be honest in saying that my senior cricket was okay until joining the Air Force. Then I was playing, especially in the early days when we were going through training and things, I'd get potentially two games a week during the summer against better players than me, and I think I improved quite a lot, which then brought my senior cricket for my club on. I'm sure my wife would say. So I've played for my home club whilst I've been at Bryce Norton, which on a Friday can be 5 hours of driving back. So I've still committed quite a lot to it, but I just enjoy everything about club cricket. I like going home, which then keeps me in touch with all family and friends and things. I like the fact that we've got groundsman who's 82 years old, who does 40 hours a week voluntarily, and his week is determined on how well we play on a Saturday for our club side. So I like everything as far as the aspects of cricket go. That's the reason why I play.
Yeah, and you know, gone through the ranks of cricket in the RAF as well. How long have you sort of been playing for them? And you've obviously got to the top of the Royal Air Force game in terms of captaining them as well. But you also have been able to play for UK Armed Forces. You're wearing a UK Armed Forces cricket tour shirt there as well. So,
Yeah.
you know, how has that improved your cricket? You know, yet again, it's not so much a different level, but it's a different type of cricket as well, and that you end up playing the same people, I imagine, for the last 10 years and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I've played 12 years now for Air Force Cricket. When I joined, we used to have the development section, so it was under 25s at the time, and I joined in a similar, I think the year after, Ross Diver. There was quite a lot of us. There was Jake Ray at the time, Rob McGee was in there as well, and that's how it grew for me. So I used to play, you know, regularly with them. Then I got into the senior side, into the first team, and we've still got all friends from that, even to this day. Some people have left the service, and we still sort of catch up and things. So that's good, and it's really nice to go to the different, although there's less bases now in the Air Force, but to be able to go to other bases and seeing people who you play cricket and you know so well through different trades and branches, it's really good.
And you know, we cover a lot of UK Armed Forces sport, whether that's football, netball, rugby, you know, obviously cricket as well. But a lot of the UK Armed Forces sport has been, the cricket has been tours abroad. So that must be part of the travel that you were looking for. But really, would you say the highlight of the calendar has been Lords? You know, the opportunity to play that T20 at Lords. Do you consider that the highlight?
Yeah, definitely. Like, the Lords is just such a special place, and to get an opportunity to play there, I think if you go back to any 12-year-old who's trying to play cricket, the opportunity to play Lords at some point in your life is, you know, is so precious, and the fact that we've managed to get to do it so much as Forces players is huge. And I think if recruitment we're looking at it, that as far as a young cricketer goes, that's just such a pull. So that's good. I think the tours have been amazing. Like, we went to India, which is probably not somewhere that you would choose to go if you were holidaying, but actually,
for cricket.
but going for cricket was just an amazing experience. So we went to Delhi there, we went to Sri Lanka, and it gave us opportunities to be able to go and see things like the tsunami relief. So the opportunities are really good, and I think UK Armed Forces, that's different probably to the Air Force that I've found over the time, is that there's a lot of people with different backgrounds, different cricketing backgrounds, and it's quite interesting for me, you know, if I just play for my club side, not to get the opportunity to play with like Tade, who's from the Windward Islands, and like, you know, just it's really good. I think that's probably the big benefit of the diversity that you get in the UK Armed Forces side.
What's RAF Cricket looking like going into that tournament?
Yeah, I think the three sides have come closer together. I think there was probably a spell where there was it was slightly separated as far as who would win it, and the Army were quite firm favourites. But yeah, the Air Force, I spoke to Shorty last night, and he's confident with how we're working. Obviously, changing personnel and what have you has been difficult. I think the excitement over Lords will be back, especially with having 2 years away. And I think it's always nice to see new faces in the side and getting that sort of feeling of excitement and enjoyment for the first time at Lords. So I think there will be a few new faces, but we've got some good players, and I think you've got to look. The Army have won a lot recently over the last few years, but I think it's that generally their best players have turned up and performed really well. So I think there's nothing to say that if our best players perform really well, the same as the Navy, anyone could win it on the 16th.
What people might or might not, they may not have made the connection earlier this year, but there's this age-old tale of the War Brothers, and I can't remember, I think someone said, I don't know who was the better brother, but whoever wasn't the better brother at cricket, there was that joke, you're not even the best cricketer in your family.
Yeah.
Is this something you've experienced?
Yeah, absolutely. I get told by Ross Diver and all the others all the time
that
you're the worst cricketer in your family. So
not the best,
the
you're
worst. The worst, yeah. So
tell us about the Fisher family setup and how you've ended up as the worst.
So I'm the eldest. So yeah, I've taken the flak early on, and then 4 years younger than me is Mark, who's my middle brother. who plays club cricket with me. He's familiar to the lads because he quite often netballs for us before Lords. And then my little brother is Matthew, who
it's always the little brother, isn't it?
made his England debut this year. So.
And what was that like? You know, is it something that was in the pipeline? You know, was he sort of on board? I know that England have a lot of issues with the bowlers at the moment, and that's still currently the same. But you know, Matty playing up at Yorkshire, you know, was he always on the fringes and ready to make his debut?
Yeah, I think from a young age we always knew that he was like quite special with cricket. Okay. Obviously he used to play in the back garden with us from a really young age, and we used to play all the things that I'm sure loads of kids used to play. We used to tape balls up to make it swing. We used to have our make-believe test matches. It's probably embarrassing to admit that I was about 12 years old at that point.
I had two brothers and I was part of that, so yeah, we did it.
So we used to have all of those things, and he was good. At 6 he went to the club and wanted to play juniors. Wow. They were telling him at the time he was running up and throwing it, so he wasn't bowling with a straight arm. And the chairman at the time said you can't play while you're throwing it. And the only reason he threw it was because that was the only way he could compete with his older brothers. So, and like, I don't really remember anyone really training him, but then the next year he turned up and he said, I want to play now. He was 7, and he said, all right, and he was bowling with a straight arm at the same pace as what he was the year before. So he was quite naturally gifted with that. He was competitive. He used to throw the biggest paddies when he was getting beat in the back garden. And I think that then built it. So he was playing under 11s when he was 7.
Wow.
He played for the seniors on a week where we were struggling. So we got to the National Village final, and the Saturday we travelled down. So the club needed to put 2 teams out, and I think it was when he was 8 or 9. He played in the second team, and my dad played for the first time he'd ever played cricket in the same team. So it started there, and then it carried on, and he always played in teams above himself. So he was playing for the Yorkshire age groups 1 or 2 years up from himself, and doing well in their teams as well. So it was always on the cards that he was strong. And then he made his debut for Yorkshire at 15.
Wow.
So and at that point I think we realised that he was he had the ability, and I think that he's been around for a long time now, and obviously injuries have plagued what he's done, which I think is difficult for him. Like, I can understand that, you know, from that side of it. But you know, he's got all the talent, and like we always say to him when he does come back from injury, that he always seems to show that he's still got the skills, which I think is, you know, sort of testament to his ability. So fingers crossed he can get a good run at some point with injuries.
Yeah, so he's currently out with injury as well. Yeah. So is that sort of, you know, how often do you speak to him and sort of, you know, give him that older brother pep talk as well? Yeah,
I mean, he's
is it ineffective now?
He's a big boy in his own rights now. He's had a few tough years, to be honest with you, and I think you know, we do speak on a regular basis, all of us as brothers and stuff, and try and support him with that. But I think everyone who knows him's sort of hoping that he'll have a good little run of it at some point.
Absolutely. And just talk to us about his debut, because sadly you couldn't make it out to the West Indies to see him play, but you obviously were watching the Sky coverage, I'm sure, you know, 24/7. But other families did make it out, did they? And sort of were able to see him play?
Yeah, so when we found out he was in the squad, my mum was umming and ahhing as to, I think she thought that she was
to the West Indies.
Yeah, well, I think she thought she was a selector. She was like, will they pick him for the first one? Will they pick him for the second one? I was like, Mum, you have no idea what's happening.
If only she's probably more sensible than a lot of the selectors, I don't know. But.
Yeah, but she ended up going out for the whole series, and she had a great time, and she met friends and what have you. And then we were trying to guess when he might be able to play, or if he would play. I'm on a course, so I couldn't just get block leave, unfortunately. My middle brother Mark went out for the Barbados test, just because it's quite a close family place that we went on holiday when we were kids, and we really enjoyed it. So he went out there, and then luckily it turned out that he managed to play in that second test match. So yeah, we were watching, me and my wife were watching on Sky, so we're having an Indian takeaway and watching him bowl, so it was good.
I mean, so difficult to not be there, but wow, I mean, do you pinch yourself sometimes when you were watching those Sky interviews and stuff? And he did well, you know, it was a very good debut. So
yeah, you do pinch yourself. I feel like he deserves it. I feel like he's worked so hard that he deserves to be there, and hopefully he'll be there again in the future. Because like we said on our WhatsApp group that primarily we're all Leeds United fans and
another good year
then. Leeds United fans and also England cricket fans. That's what we've all grown up for. So to have one of your brothers playing in the team that you've always supported is pretty special. So yeah, really proud of him. But I think he's got there through hard work, and he deserved his chance. So.
And as an England cricket fan, I mean, arguably, I think we've been here before. They're not in the best place at the moment, but a whole new regime. You've got Rob Key at the top, you've got Brendan McCullum, you've got Ben Stokes. And I'm sure Matthew would have told you, many good things about Ben Stokes in particular. But as an England cricket fan, how do you see this summer going, and kind of how do you see them progressing? And, have you got any sort of ideas of what they should be doing to get back to number one in the world at least?
Everyone's an expert.
Of course.
Everyone's an expert. I think first of all it's exciting as far as the Test side goes, and that there's focus on it again. I think it's in the interest of English cricket for the Test side to be strong. I think it's amazing what they've done with 50 over cricket and shorter form. But I do think that they need to get fundamentally back to winning Test matches. So, yeah, I like the fact that Rob Key's, I think he speaks well. I think he's a cricket man, so fingers crossed he sees it similar to how fans and what have you. I'm not envious of the job. I think that the amount of cricket that's played now is tough, and I think that balancing player, like the player power with all the different formats that are available to people is difficult. So I don't think it's an easy fix. There's some good cricketers out there, and I think that Joe Root looks like to be a good captain as well. So I don't think that it's going to change overnight. I think if people think that Joe Root not captaining is going to solve things instantly, personally I don't think that will be the case. But I look forward to seeing what Stokes does with it. So.
Yeah, well, let's hope that. I mean, one thing that didn't suffer with Root's captaincy was his batting. Yeah. So he managed to maintain that, which a lot of captains don't do. So let's just hope that just as a run maker, he'll. I may say go back to put a sparkling form, but I don't think anyone's scored more runs than him in the last 2 years. But like you say, everyone's an expert. I've also got an opinion. But in terms of we touched on it slightly before we started recording, but I don't want to delve too deeply, but there have been concerns over the last couple of years about the state of English cricket and whether it's stuck 20 years ago, whether it needs to be modernised. You're someone who plays for a club, and your family's involved in cricket to the highest level. You've been involved in cricket all your life. You're a Yorkshireman. What are your sort of concerns about the game? Because I think your specific concern, I think they're very valid, are about how the top of the game there's too much cricket almost, but you're worried that they're so concentrated on the top of the game that they're not worried about the likes of your club and all the grassroots clubs and the school cricket and all that kind of stuff. So just try and, like, in a nutshell, what are your concerns about cricket? Because you're involved, you should have a voice. Yeah.
I think there's good initiatives out there. I think that it's becoming a big vehicle now with, as franchise cricket's happening and everything. The ECB are working hard to work on the 100, the Blast, resolve county cricket, sort the Test side out, win the 50 over World Cup, win the T20 World Cup. There's a lot of things going on there, and I think that it's a huge job for people to be doing. I think that when you break it down to grassroots level, it's always been based around volunteers and people putting time in and things like that. So I think it's just staying true to, if we want the top of the game to work, we've got to still keep working on the grassroots level of it. And I said at the start that I went to a state school that had cricket. I can see, I'm not that involved with schools cricket now that I know exactly, but I know for growing up for Matthew and for other people in the academy, there was a lot of offers for people to go to private schools to get what they would deem as better education, to go to a private school and to play cricket. And I think that as you're starting to see the drive for that, I think that it sort of reduces the diversity of what's out there, really. So I think there's no easy answer, but obviously I just don't want to see cricket going away from being a sport for everyone within this country, sort of thing. And I think that even more terrestrial TV, I mean, I grew up with Channel 4, and I think that the ECB would be advised to try and get more cricket onto terrestrial TV. I know that everyone's probably got more access to Sky and BT and everything nowadays, but you know, I don't know. There's not an easy fix, but I think that you've got to take more of a holistic view rather than just get all the money in and then spread it out. I think that's pretty difficult.
I mean, do you think, I don't know if you look beyond an RAF career, how long you're planning to sort of stay in the Air Force? You know, do you think cricket will, whether you stay in or maybe leave when your time comes, you know, something, is a cricket job something you would aim for? Or you probably not thought that far. I'm asking a young man what he's going to do in 20 years' time.
No, I have interest in, I've always enjoyed a bit of coaching and things like that. There's some amazing opportunities, I'm sure, out there, and definitely needs people who want to be passionate about it. I'm not sure if my wife would agree that a job in cricket would also go well with all of the stuff, but no, there's some good people out there. It's just it's difficult, isn't it, knowing how to pitch a sport 10, 15, 20 years in advance, and I think that there's plenty of challenges at the moment in cricket. So.
Well, look, thank you so much for speaking to us, Adam Fish.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it, and you know, I hope you stay in military cricket for as long as you can. I think you're a good voice to have, and someone who's sort of grown up with it and loves it as much as you do is a real bonus to any side. So good luck to the RAF and the two other teams. May the best team win. I'm sure I don't know if you'll be watching from afar, but we are streaming it live, so you can watch from Lords. And all the best in your RAF career, and of course all the best to the family, whatever they choose to do as well.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Cheers.